Hey there, you me and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am Stepson of Krypton, coming to you today with Aquaman versus Hawkman, next in the DC KO event. Now, guys, I know we have already released the Wonder Woman versus Lobo. This one actually was before it. However, our comic book store here locally did not get Aquaman in. So we had to kind of improvise, and I didn't want to put Lobo and Wonder Woman out over a week late. So we did skip that. It's only going to affect 2 pages, and that is the interlude in about the middle of this comic. So we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to worry about me wearing sunglasses because of my bright lights. What we are going to worry about is what's going on in this next event. So let's just get on into it. All right, guys. So this issue kind of opens up to where we've got kind of Arthur, we've got Carter. We're going back and forth kind of as we go down the page between them two, and there's some narration talking about what time will say about the heroes that went into this battle and the tales they will tell about how mere mortals fought to save the universe. And there's one battle that was way more than men and the gods they became, and that fight is between Aquaman and Hawkman. Now, real quick, just keep in mind when as we go through this comic with Aquaman, if you've not been following along with what's going on in the Aquaman series, he basically had defeated Dagon, which was the Lord of the Blue, and he now has control over the blue, where basically is all of the water within the galaxy. And we're going to mention that again here towards the end as he brings it up. But it has made him immensely powerful, basically almost god tier, which is kind of nice. Finally, Aquaman's not the joke of everybody, but not so fast. First, we got to rewind about 24 hours before the start of the KO event. Back on the Nautilus, Arthur's team is talking about him going to this event. And while some are impressed with who's going to be there, others think that their time is better spent protecting the oceans. However, Arthur trusts in his friends. And if they say this is the only way to save the world, he will do it. We see his daughter. She's proud of him. And she thinks he will win. Although she's been with him for the last little while, so she's kind of gotten a glimpse to be able to see what he can really do now. And then we kind of quickly snap back to the present as the fight goes on. And we get the narration from Hawkman this time. And you can tell he really respects and admires Arthur. He knows, like, he's seen way more combat over many lifetimes and is far more of a warrior than Aquaman is. Although he does kind of sense that something seems different, almost like a darkness around Arthur. But what hope does one who swims have against one who flies? Even with this fancy new weapons he sees. And Aquaman takes a pretty nasty looking hit. It's too bad there isn't some water around. Or is there? And Arthur says, there is always water. And then, as if almost summoning a demon, Aquaman pulls all the water from the ground. After all, humanity only lives because water recedes. Hawkman is in shock. Is this the same Aquaman he's known? And as Hawkman flies higher up into the sky, Aquaman shoots up on a geyser of water, closing the distance between them and bringing the destruction with him, that wall of water. Now, completely engulfed in that water, Hawkman is pretty much helpless. How is he going to escape? How is he going to get up and out? Which way is up and out of the water? This is definitely not the friend he has known. He is something else, something chaotic. And I think it's funny he chose that word because if you're following along in like the Absolute Green Lantern series that we are doing here on the channel, the lanterns call certain actions chaotic actions. However, I don't think that means much to Hawkman right now as he is running out of breath. KO. Hawkman disappears. The round has gone to Aquaman. The heart of Apocalypse surges, and the king of the seven seas gets an even bigger taste of power than he already has. He gets a taste of the Omega. And this is what I mean. Oddly, in this issue, like, we're jumping into the middle, we're doing a Watchtower interlude, whereas the past issue and what will now be the future issue that's somehow already in the past because I already did it. They do it at the very end. Here we get the interlude where World Forger and Booster, they're getting ready to fight. And because Darkseid has decided to take Booster as a host, World Forger decides, if you want Booster, take them all. And he pulls a bunch of boosters from different times to attack Booster / Darkseid. But they are nothing.
Nothing to Darkseid.
Now, back to the tournament, round 2. Just before the start of round 2, we see Hawkman. Now he's questioning what he can do against someone so powerful. It almost seems now like Arthur is a god. And speaking of gods, we see Horus, the Egyptian god of the sky, kingship, and protection. And he's talking to Hawkman, and he asks him if he still believes in him and what he had told Shara all long ago about finding them the new world to live on. And of course, still having faith in Horus, he decides to give Hawkman his power. Maybe this will even the odds. Now, it is Aquaman narrating, and he can sense the chaotic energy that has permeated this reality, even the blue. The water's being blown away. But how? The power to do that must be incredible. And with a massive swing, Carter comes crashing down on Arthur, sending him flying way up into the air, similar to his battle with Dagon, as I referenced earlier in the issue. Although Aquaman, he doesn't seem too worried that Carter is trying to keep him up in the sky. Hawkman may be celebrating a little too early, thinking, high as they are up, there is definitely no water. But suddenly, Hawkman can't move. Arthur's eyes glow blue. I told you.
There is always water.
And as he begins to pull the water from Hawkman's body, I don't think anybody understands yet just how powerful Aquaman is now, having control of the blue. And he says here, as mentioned, it's control of all the water in the galaxy, or connection to all the water in the galaxy. And given people, the humanoids, even though he's Thanagarian, like, they're still made up of mostly water. Okay? So there he is, getting all of that water pulled from him. And we see Carter falling to earth as still as a pond. But Aquaman is the Dark Tide. KO, round 2, also goes to Aquaman. And that's where this issue ends. This was a really quick one because honestly, like, even this last page and multiple others, there's not a lot of dialogue. I like that there was fight. One thing I will say I did enjoy is I love that this was only 2 rounds and Aquaman won both and took Hawkman out. So it was probably my favorite thus far in the KO fights that we've seen. If maybe Captain Atom Superman is a very close second, might be first. I did love this one though, and I think we're going to see more of Arthur using that power that he now has to get further and further along. I don't know though, guys, but you tell me, how did you feel about this one? I know I apologize that Wonder Woman and Lobo had to come out first. I didn't want to wait on them since our comic book store wanted to be jackasses. So let me know down in the comments though, if you can be halfway decent about it, what you thought about this one. What's been your favorite KO story so far? And if you've made it with me this far, you might as well go ahead and give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and having the bell notifications clicked so you will get alerted every time we are continuing on. We're probably not even halfway through the KO event yet. We got a lot more to go. If you have the bell notifications clicked, you will get alerted when we release them, guys. And to keep this as short as is humanly possible, that is going to wrap it for me on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, guys, I'll see you then.